Hey guys, Paul here, the Impulsive Culinarian, and in this video I want to talk to you about my barbecued flap steak with chimichurri sauce. Guys, welcome to week 4 of the barbecue series. I'm having so much fun getting a tan, cooking on the barbecue. It's like a dream come true. I live for this time of year. And so I'm right in my element. And in this episode of the barbecue series, I'm so excited to show you my recipe for barbecued flap steak. Now, leading up to this episode, I may have referred to it as my barbecued flank steak recipe. I've been talking to my butcher and I learned a couple of things. Flank steak is fantastic and it's best if it's sort of fast grilled, seared, and just cooked enough to be pink in the middle. And I told him what I was doing. I said, I'm going to be, searing this and letting it cook. He says, why don't you try bavette steak? Like, bavette? I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar. He says it's flap steak. It's very similar to flank steak, except that it's a little bit more tender. One of the guys at my local butcher, he says, I use flank steak to make jerky. And I'm like, well, that's a great idea, of course, because it's very fibrous and it can be the perfect ingredient for that kind of cooking style. For that kind of preparation. But they told me unanimously the bavette steak is going to be a little bit more tender for the kind of preparation that you're doing. So what does bavette look like? I've got this beautiful 24-ounce flap steak right here, all right? And I don't know if you can see that, but it's got the beautiful marbling and fat content, and it's a very fibrous meat. Now, we're going to be marinating this. It's almost sort of an essential thing. It doesn't make it that much more tender, but let's just say that it really infuses a lot of flavor, and it does give a chance for those tendrils to break down the longer that you marinate it. I'm in a bit of a hurry up mode for the video, so I'm only able to marinate it for a few hours. But guys, you want to throw this in a marinade overnight if you possibly can. That is going to yield the best results. I've done it before with this kind of steak, and it was magical. It's still going to be delicious. So here are the ingredients that you're going to need. All right, let's get this broken down into 3 different groups. We're going to talk about the steak ingredients. Get yourself a 20 to 24 ounce, around 1.5 pounds of good quality flap or bavette steak. Ask your butcher, tell them what you're doing, and they'll give you the right thing. 2 tablespoons of red wine, 1 tablespoon of Montreal steak spice, a generous tablespoon, okay, and also a generous tablespoon of sugar. Now, let's talk about the chimichurri ingredients. There's a million different ways to prepare this. Here's my version. I use 1 shallot, nicely minced, 1/4 cup of flat leaf parsley, which I'm going to chop, 1/4 cup of good quality olive oil, 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped oregano, 1 garlic clove, nicely minced, the zest of 1 lemon, half a tablespoon of kosher salt, and some freshly ground black pepper to taste. Last but not least, this is all about the side dishes, guys. You can do almost anything you want, but I wanted to make a nice meal for you. So in this video, I'm going to be doing, for the vegetable ingredients, 1 pound of button mushrooms, 1 teaspoon of chopped fresh oregano, 1 bunch of asparagus, nicely trimmed, 2 Roma tomatoes or 1 beefsteak tomato. I was at the farmer's market today, yes, and I got myself a beautiful local beefsteak tomato. That you're going to cut in half. Get yourself some olive oil, some kosher salt, and some more freshly ground black pepper. Guys, I'm very excited about this episode. Let's get cooking for some barbecued flap steak with chimichurri. Barbecue season, that's the best season. Did you know there are 5 seasons in a year? Yeah, barbecue is the 5th season. When I buy bavette steak at my butcher, it comes, how convenient is that, in a plastic bag. So I'm basically just going to slice the top off and I'm going to use this to put in all of my marinade ingredients. If you don't have this, if it doesn't come like this at your butcher, you want to get one of those large Ziploc bags and you're going to load all your marinade ingredients in there. Let's get marinating. So guys, the bigger steak that you get, the more you want to be generous with these ingredients. So I'm going to eyeball around 2 tablespoons of red wine. Montreal steak spice. Guys, this stuff is incredible. I don't even try to recreate it. I just support this beautiful product. And then, of course, 3 tablespoons of sugar. That's my favorite marinade of all time, guys. 3 ingredients: red wine, sugar, and Montreal steak spice. So, smush it all around. Okay, seal it up tight. Get that in the fridge for at least 6 hours. I mean, overnight, if you can, is the best, all right? 24 hours, fantastic. All right, so for however long you're marinating that steak for, 1 hour before you're ready to cook, okay, usually when you're prepping the rest of the ingredients just in time for supper, that's a good time to take that steak out of the fridge and let it warm up so that it gets to room temperature, because you want to put it on the grill kind of warm. You don't want to put it on cold. It'll taste even better, promise. All right, so now it's time to make some chimichurri. The only way to make a really good chimichurri is with fresh herbs, guys. Always use fresh herbs, none of that dry stuff. So let's start by mincing up a shallot. All right, next you want to get around a 1/4 cup of flat leaf parsley. What's a 1/4 cup? That. No, in all honesty, let's say that I would use this, a small bushel of fresh parsley. It's a good guess. That looks like around a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. In the bowl. So then you want to get 1/4 cup of good quality olive oil. 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. Fresh oregano. A generous tablespoon, that's okay. Normally I don't mind going extra on the garlic, but I think for this chimichurri recipe, 1 clove is more than enough. It's raw. Even though it's minced, you really taste it if you put more than a clove. So I'm going to say stick to 1 medium-sized clove of garlic for this, guys. Get a zester. It's worth it. All right, so the last thing to do is to season that with a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and a few gratings of freshly ground black pepper. Oh man, I love chimichurri, and every time I make it, it's just like reliving that first time that I ever tried it. It's so fresh and delicious, perfect for summer. Let's mix that up and get it into a small serving bowl. All right, so the next part of the recipe is really up to you. I'm gonna do some mushroom brochettes and some grilled asparagus because that's what I'm in the mood for. But you can pick any kind of vegetable that you want, guys, as long as you can put it on the grill. Let's get prepped. So my prep has consisted of putting my button mushrooms on some skewers. I'll put a little bit of oil and salt and pepper on those to grill them up. And I've trimmed off my asparagus and I'm putting them in sort of like a baking dish. I'm just gonna toss that with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and that's it. Don't need much when you're cooking on the grill. Last but not least, I'm gonna barbecue this incredibly beautiful beefsteak tomato. This was on this gorgeous, let me show you the shot. I took a picture at the market today. Check this out. It made my day. I love to see that. Being at the market for when that vegetable spread and all the fruits and local produce come out, just makes my month. So I'm gonna slice this in half and we're gonna barbecue it on both sides. And when we're done, the skin is just gonna come right off. It's gonna be delicious. You can also do that with Roma tomatoes. In fact, I'll do both. You slice these in half and the entire skin comes off. It's just perfect. Anyhow, we'll do them both. You be the judge. All right, so all of this, the asparagus, the mushrooms, tomatoes, whatever veg that you choose to barbecue, that is basically the very luxurious and flavorful bed for our steak and our chimichurri that's gonna come. That's going to be in the bottom, steak's going to be in the top, a little bit of chimichurri, and hello, it's barbecue time. Speaking of which, yay! Let's light up the Q. Warm it up. Now the first thing that we're going to do are all of the vegetables. The last thing on this barbecue is going to be the steak, because we want to do it to perfection and have it ready to go when it's time to serve the whole thing. So let's start with mushrooms and asparagus. So no matter what the size of your barbecue, there are always hot spots and cool spots. Anytime you see a diffuser like this, all right, that piece of metal that allows the flame to sort of lick out from either side, on top of each of those diffusers is always going to be a cool spot. In between, where the flames are actually coming through, those, logically, are going to be a hot spot. So depending on the type of food that you're cooking, for instance, I've got these asparagus over the hot spot, and the tender shoots on the end, they're over that diffuser. So a little bit hotter, a little bit cooler, and I've got those on relatively low heat because I don't want to burn them, right? Very sort of tender vegetable. Whereas the mushrooms, that take a lot of heat to really cook. And I've got them face down because if you've ever done this, you know that there's a lot of moisture that has to sort of get out of those mushrooms before they even start to brown. So I've got them on a much higher heat until they really start to grill, and then I can turn that down and maybe flip them over and put them over the diffuser cool spots. There you go. Hot spot, cool spot monologue done. Okay, so the asparagus and mushrooms are done to perfection, I might add. So we're gonna set those aside. and almost done with the vegetables. Next, we're gonna do our tomato experiment. So we're gonna do beefsteak versus Roma. Here's the challenge, let's go. High heat. So can you burn something that has that much moisture in it? Yeah, you probably could, but it takes a little while. So you basically want to grill these over high heat until you start to see char marks on that flat side. So that's one thing about the Romas. They're smaller, they cook faster, they're pretty much done in a couple of minutes. Those beefsteaks are going to take probably twice, maybe 3 times as long. So let's get the Romas off, let them cool so that we can pluck off those peels. That's hilarious. Spy cam. I know what you call that. Security cam. do, 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 do. All right, so those beefsteaks are getting kind of soft. Time to take them off before they disintegrate. So in the battle of beefsteak versus Roma, who's the winner? You know, I gotta admit, I really do love the Romas. I'm so accustomed to using them because they're available all year round. And, you know, because you can barbecue all year round, and they came out perfectly. And those skins are just, we're gonna let them cool a bit, but you can see they just come right off. They're literally ready to just be pulled right off. For those beefsteak tomatoes, there's a lot more to deal with, but those char marks are great. And this is gonna be delicious. You chop these up a little bit into some chunky pieces and serve that along with the vegetables, and you've got yourself a summer salad. All right, guys, the last step, the pièce de résistance, that flap steak. You can use flank, you can use flap. There's a couple of other varieties. Talk to your butcher. I definitely prefer the flap steak or bavette steak. Now, the key is, guys, you want it over really maximum high heat. So you're going for the hot spot between your diffusers, all right? Get both of the burners on either side of that spot on full. Let the grill heat up. Get it hot. Give it a minute or two, and then let's get ready to add that steak. Guys, before I put it on, I just have to show you. Look at this beautiful cut of meat and all of those amazing tendrils of fat infused with our beautiful marinade, Montreal steak spice, red wine. Come on! That's going to be fantastic. All right, let's get it on the grill. Hot spot. 1 minute, go! Time to flip. Awesome. 1 minute, go. All right, 2 minutes. Now it's time to get this over indirect heat. So we've seared the meat. I'm going to bring these burners, all of them, down to low. Depending on how much room you've got, it doesn't really matter where you put it, as long as it's over a diffuser, low heat. Another 2 minutes. Go. Important to keep the lid shut. That's very important. You want to be keeping it at around 300 to 350 degrees minimum, just so that we can get that beautiful pink center of our flap steak. All right, so here's a quick trick, guys. If you're testing out the doneness of your steak, stretch out your index and your thumb like this. This, well done. If you relax them, that is rare. Somewhere in the middle, medium rare. Go ahead and poke your steak. All right, so with this big 24 ouncer that I've got on the barbecue, it actually took, after the 1 minute of searing per side, it took 4 minutes per side of cooking through to get to that texture, all right, of medium rare. So I'm gonna take it off the grill and we're gonna let it cool upstairs. Let's go. It's a shame to come inside, but some things need to be done in a controlled environment. So we got all of our beautifully barbecued ingredients up here. The asparagus and mushrooms, perfect. The steak, this is done to perfection, okay? So you can cover it up if you like, but it needs to rest for at least 10 minutes. Let all of those juices get collected back into the fibers of the meat, and whatever actually comes out, that's fine. Save that. You'll want to drizzle that on top, trust me. As far as the tomatoes are concerned, let's peel off the skins from our beefsteak and Roma tomatoes and see who's the winner. Oh, look how easy that comes right off, the whole thing. That's the beauty of grilling, right? Charring, anything like this, it's just perfect. You could serve that. That's exactly what I was looking for. But if you want, you can chop it up and put it in a salad. The sky's the limit. Now, the beauty of making the chimichurri first, okay, is that all of that beautiful red wine vinegar and oil, it's infused and it's sort of softened the garlic and the onions. And when you try this, okay, it is absolutely delicious. This is the perfect topping for our beautiful flap steak when it's all sliced up. I can't wait. Come on, 10 minutes, hurry up! All right, so before we cut into this steak, remember when I held it up for you before and you could see all of the tendrils of the muscle are running in this direction. That means that I want to cut against the grain. If I cut this way, I'm basically leaving those muscle tendons intact, and I want to cut across them so that they're easier when you chew into them. So I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to cut against the grain for 2 pieces of big steak. God, this is going to be delicious. So that also gives me the opportunity, guys, to show you the doneness of this steak. Look at that beautiful pink middle. That is done to perfection. Tell me you don't want to take a bite out of this right now. That's why it's important to do that test, to make sure that you're checking for doneness around there. If it's like this, you've done it wrong. You've overdone it. If it's really, really loose, it's rare. You want to get that pink center and then cut against the grain. Guys, I can barely wait to dig into this, but let's do a serving suggestion, shall we? Okay? Get a clean plate. So I've decided to put the beefsteak tomato. It has more flavor, and these beautiful char marks are just irresistible. The beautiful grilled mushrooms, button mushrooms, that asparagus grilled to perfection, this incredible medium rare flap steak, and of course the chimichurri sauce. That, guys, is a pretty good summer barbecue dish. Serve it. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching episode 4 of my barbecue series. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. There is one more barbecue video left in the series, and I really hope that you watch it. It is going to be spectacular. My name is Paul, the Impulsive Culinarian, and be sure to join me every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I open up a brand new bottle of wine live here from the Impulsive Culinarian kitchen. I'd love to see you. I'll catch you in the next video.